All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second or half of the second week of our flash unit on dating, relationships, and sexuality. I want to take you back just a little bit to where we've been. We started with some discussion on just kind of ground rules and anatomy. And we jumped into sexual orientation and gender identity. Our third lesson focused in on the rules of dating and the three concepts of asking out, what dating would look like to you, and then thirdly, breaking up. And then we jumped into last Friday talking about saying no and really standing up to the skills that we've kind of talked about before, which says to say no, to explain why. Realizing that we do want to develop and continue a relationship, we want to suggest an alternative. And then lastly, if it's not working, then you need to be able to get out. Our next kind of 2.5 lessons are going to revolve around sexually transmitted diseases, preventing sexually transmitted diseases, and then also on preventing pregnancy. So this is a Monday, Tuesday lesson, and the Monday, Tuesday will be for you to work through this idea of preventing HIV and other STDs. I want to bring you back to our original points, which says, number one, that abstinence will always be the best option. Number two, that any decisions you make around your sexuality will either positively or potentially negatively impact your own mental health. Number three says that sexually transmitted diseases and infections will definitely have an impact on you long term and also in the immediate time. Number four, we'll talk a little bit about on Wednesday and Thursday is pregnancy and a little bit about how we make sure we prevent that from happening. And then I think what I come back to all the time is your family values have to be important. And the ability to talk this over with your family becomes a very important aspect. So the objectives for this unit on HIV and STD, just a couple concept things. Let me go back to here first of all. The letter V that you see in HIV is something that stands for the word virus. One thing to note about viruses is once you get them, you never get rid of them. So that's really an important concept here, is that we want to make sure that you see this as long term. If you don't see a V, so if you see something like syphilis, for example, or chlamydia, there's no V in those two words. Those are probably not viral based. In fact, those two that I listed are bacterial. The good news about bacteria is that with some antibiotic, you can get rid of them. But for our purposes, we don't really separate the two. And in the title of this lesson, it says preventing HIV and other STDs. Honestly, I put HIV and all STDs in the same category. Globally, I think there's a much more attention paid to HIV because of its danger. But let's be real, all STDs carry a certain level of danger. So today's objectives, pretty straightforward. We're going to talk about abstinence again, the safest, most effective way of preventing sexually transmitted diseases without question. Secondly, we're going to talk a little bit about what a barrier method is, and that is what a condom would be. And that's really the best, if you are sexually active, the best way to prevent sexually transmitted diseases. Next point is how important testing is. If you perceive or think you potentially could have been exposed to a sexually transmitted disease, it is really important that you get tested so that that is not something that's spread. And last, fourth, really work hard at understanding that your health and preventing STDs is really about you understanding the facts, being medically accurate with your information, and realizing that there is a huge level of danger. And lastly, it's important that we have the ability to work together. We got to talk about this stuff. And when we talk about this stuff, you'll see great things happening. So we'll kind of work through what my expectations are for you over this lesson and how are we going to go about completing it in this video and then in the subsequent video just to the right. Thanks a lot.